Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out, Season 2. Thank you for being here again, and also thank you for bearing with us. We did postpone 1 week due to the wildfires, but we are back at work. We're so happy to be here. Just a few reminders before we get started. As always, a great way to support the podcast is to leave us a review on Apple and a rating on Spotify. And also, if you're wanting more content from Made It Out, we have our subscription series, Made It In, which is one-on-one episodes with me, new shows that we're developing. Yeah, we expect that to really pop off this year, so check it out. To start off season 2, we have the iconic comedian Fortune Feimster. She's here to share her coming out story, how different and also the same it was coming out in her generation, and how she came to accept her queerness and love being gay. I know you're going to love the episode. So excited to start off season 2. Here we go.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited. Everybody knows you, but everybody listening,
know me, right?
They know you, but I want to get to know you a little more.
There's one woman yelling right now, I don't know who this is.
Let me get to know maybe where you grew up. What was your childhood like?
Oh man, we did really dig in.
Yeah, we're going there.
I'm from Belmont, North Carolina, really tiny town, like 12,000 people. When I was born, 8,000 people. So it's really moving up. It's a metropolis now. It's this really cute little community outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Really friendly people. That small town, like everybody knows everybody, which when I was growing up, I hated. I felt so small.
Like, what did you do? What was there to do?
In high school, we literally drove up and down the little road, seeing if our friends were around. We pulled into the church parking lot and all hung out, and then the cops would eventually make us leave. We had nothing to do. A weird thing in my hometown is that they didn't serve alcohol, was not allowed to be sold.
Oh, wow.
So there was no restaurant would come anywhere near it, like a nice one, because that's where you make your money.
Of course.
So our town was literally dying because there was no commerce, nothing. No one wanted to, put any business there. And when I was in college, they passed that law that you could, and it really did change my whole town.
Why were your parents there? What did they do?
I'm like 5th generation of that area.
Wow.
Yeah. Just, it's kind of common that people that grow up there stay there and have kids and they stay there. And yeah, so, I, in hindsight, grew up in a really great place. Like, people cared, people checked in on you. Like, my mom still lives, both parents, they're not together, but they live there. And great friends. If my mom had knee surgery, everyone checked on her, brought her food. It's that kind of place.
Yeah, of course.
So I love to go back and visit. But my childhood was, my parents divorced when I was 12. My grandmother lived around the corner, though. So someone was carting us to, some kind of sports practice at any given moment. Everyone was trying to it was like chaotic. Everyone was just trying to make sure people were picked up at school and taken to practice. But my mom was so pumped to have a girl. I have 2 older brothers, and my mom's a real girly woman. So she'd try to put that on me. Mm-hmm. I really want, her to be a girly girl. She had me in bonnets when I was a kid and tons of dresses in my closet. She was just determined to make me the quintessential girl.
Yeah.
And I did it up until I was 5 because you just wear what your mom puts on you.
Yep.
And then I discovered soccer. I went with my brothers to their soccer practice, and a group my age was playing, and they were like, do you want to play? And from that day forward, I was like, I don't want a dress on. I don't like these. I want Umbros. And yeah, I started my tomboy journey. That's what you call yourself when you don't know you're a lesbian.
Yeah, of course.
I'm I'm a tomboy, or everyone else calls you that.
I had like the opposite experience.
Yeah.
I grew up in the South also.
Oh, yeah.
Different kind of South. I grew up in like DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah. The Texas version.
The Texas version, but you grew up in like the South. So there was expectations on me, but I feel like very different.
Yeah.
Like I know I saw in your special that you went to debutante class. That was not common around my area.
That wasn't. Yeah,
No.
it's a big Southern thing. I don't know. Like my mom's mom did it. My mom did it. It's like one of those things. Like and what I talked about in my special is that at one time my family did have money. My grandfather was a very affluent contractor. He built like houses and schools and churches all over the state of North Carolina and did really well for himself. He died when he was 50 out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
And my grandmother, that was a time when, when you were married, you didn't have the skills to like, all of a sudden you're in charge of the money. And through a series of like bad financial decisions and debts and things, all that money was gone by the time I was born. So my mom was interesting in that she was like a rich woman, or she had been born, having a lot done for her and having a lot of things. And then suddenly that was taken away at some point in her life. So she had this kind of rich woman mentality and living in a poor woman's world, because my dad was born in a complete opposite situation. The wrong side of the tracks, as they call it, in a trailer, no money, hitchhiked to school, could not be more opposite experiences. Didn't have a birthday cake until he was like 18 when he met my mom. And so I was stuck in this world of two things. I had this mom who was sort of still had one foot in this like fancy world, but we didn't have the money to really support it. But I was invited to be this debutante because she was, in her heyday. But then I had like my dad, when my parents divorced, back in a trailer. I'm like watching NASCAR, So I had this very weird thing where I knew how to like act with these hoity-toity people, but I was like firmly planted in the not having money world.
Where do you think that put you? Did that make it really confusing, or do you think it made you super well-rounded?
I think well-rounded. I knew how to kind of fit in any of the worlds to a certain extent. I was more uncomfortable in the hoity-toity world. So yeah, when I was in high school, I had to do this, manners classes and these like parties or eating little sandwiches. And I really didn't want to do it, but you're 17 or whatever, and I'm a high school senior, and your mom's like, you have to do this, because she's trying to keep like, I think there was a part of her that just wanted to feel like she was still part of that world, that she didn't want to accept that we were well beyond being able to fit into that world. And so and living vicariously through me. And I would be like, we don't have the money to do this, because those require, you have to pay like every party, everyone has to contribute money, and you have to pay for even your dress for the event. I always joke that I would come home and like a couch would be missing, because she would sell it to pay for these dumbass parties. And that's just where her priorities were at the time. It was like, well, our lights are getting shut off. Do we really need to be doing this? I was always kind of the like responsible one, even at a young age. So I did it for her, but not by choice. And I was so embarrassed by it for so many years. But one of my good friends who produced my first hour, Sweet and Salty, she was like, why don't you talk about this? And I go, it's so embarrassing.
What do you think is embarrassing about it?
Because it's just so not me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't represent what my childhood was in any capacity. She's like, no, it's funny that you were like this broke debutante. And I go, I guess. So I kind of wedged it into that special at the last minute.
And it's such a great part of it.
Oh, thank you. But it is funny that everyone still to this day asks me about it.
Because it is just this like dichotomy.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting.
Well, and the irony of not knowing you're gay and you're coming out to society.
Because it's called a coming out party, which is crazy.
Coming out party, which is like, yeah, wrong coming out party. And my joke on that special was that I would, be having to go to these manners classes, going up to the guy going, "What's up, Mark?" Very rough around the edges. But it did teach me these like weird manners that I guess come in handy sometimes.
Yeah, you're never going to be like, it's never a bad thing to have these skills.
What forks you're supposed to be wearing, the napkins and all the things.
Which is really helpful because I go to dinner with Matilda's family and I'm lost. I'm looking at her like, what the hell fork do I use? But at this time, like, where does being gay fit into it?
Literally nowhere, which is funny because I'm so gay that, like, I'm there's some people that you look at that I know we're entering into a new phase of like everyone's different things and looks different ways and represent, it's all about what makes you feel good and what you identify with. And that's awesome. I love that. But it was a little bit more like, you either look gay or you don't look gay. You know what I mean? You're either this or that. It was a little bit more rigid.
Well, it was a completely different time. Can you paint a picture of like what the time?
Yeah, so it was like, I guess when I was in high school, it was the 90s. So the real world was kind of like a huge thing at the time. Like, I remember Real World San Francisco was the first time you had seen someone on television. Pedro was, this would have been like, God, that would have been like 93, 2 or 4, something like that, where you were starting to, the AIDS crisis was so prevalent in the big cities. Like, it was well talked about and known, but in my little tiny town, we were like, what is what? And I remember watching that, just going like, I had never met a gay person. Anyone that in my hometown that I know for sure now was gay, was in the closet then or married. It just was not talked about. And so that was a big eye opener of like, I was learning all this stuff about gay people and city people and Pedro's living with AIDS and it just really opened your eyes to like, we didn't have the internet yet. So it's not like today where you can just see people's stories and what they're going through. And it was pretty eye opening of like, oh, there's so many people living with things that you don't know about or I just felt very sheltered, I guess. And so it still was early days of like very little representation. Ellen came out. That was a big deal. Then her show got canceled. So there was all these things and then, Pedro died and there were all these like things happening where you're like being told like, this is bad. And so you just, if any of that even crept in your head, you sort of shoved it back down of like, oh, I can't be that. So I just didn't think about it. I didn't think about what I was, because that wasn't really a thing back then of like, who am I? No one was doing those. You were just trying to get through high school and make friends. So I didn't really date. I just was the girl that was friends with everybody and didn't know what I was missing, because I knew something was off. I knew like, you just kind of attribute it to, well, I guess guys just don't like me in that way. So it does chip away at your self-esteem where you feel less than, and you don't know why the boys don't want to ask you out or or Valentine's Days always sucked, seeing all these like girls get these flowers or, schools always had the like, buy a thing for your sweetheart. And I remember my brother gave me flowers once. And I was like, I'm such a dork. My brother gave me flowers for Valentine's. So yeah, there was like a lonely aspect to it. But I try to overcompensate by being in all the sports, making great grades, president of this club or that club. And I try to get my self-worth acknowledged by achievements, which helped. I think that's what got me through that time. And then I got to college. Ironically, went to a women's college. Still did not know I was gay, which seems wild. But there really, again, weren't many gay girls there. Some have come out since, but really not a lot. And but that's where my a little bit happened in high school of like being too intense about a friend. You know, my very first joke that ever hit, for lack of a better words, was when I said like that I came out late, and when I was in high school, my mom, I was very intense and about friends, and my mom would always be like, I don't understand why you get so upset when your friend Michelle goes out on a date with a guy. And I was like, because she's my best friend. And that like summed up my life at that point. I was so intense about like a couple of friends.
Yeah.
Did not know why. Was so bummed if they would go on a date. If any guy liked them, I was like, he's not good enough. And it just was crazy to think about myself and that. I can only imagine what my friends at the time were thinking. I would have been like, bitch, calm down.
Yeah, back off.
But no one checked me.
They're like, wow, Fortune really is such a great friend.
They did not. No one checked me. I'm just like so intense. And it's so funny to me now because I'm so not that person. I'm not intense about anything, but I just didn't know what that was. And again, still in college, like I think I got my first email address my freshman year of college. We were like, what is Hotmail? It just was a different time. And AOL Instant Messenger was like the big thing at the time. Yeah. There was no social media, so you weren't meeting people that way. And it just was like very confined to your world. You didn't know what was going on around you in the world. Will and Grace wasn't on. There was no like YouTube to be like, oh, look at that gay couple or that gay person. You really do need to see yourself represented in the world in a certain way where you can go, wait, I think that, or that's why I'm, if I had seen some intense girl on a sitcom and it turned out she's a lesbian, I would be like, oh my God, I do that.
Yeah.
But you don't have that mirror in any way. So you're just freaking, rubbing lotion on your friend's arms, thinking you're a great friend.
Well, you know what's so interesting about that is like, I'm not far removed from those feelings. And when
you're much younger.
I had social media growing up, but I grew up in Texas where I didn't physically see that represented either. And I came out at 28, which I'm 31 now. So a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
Like
okay.
It literally took leaving Texas and seeing it in my world and like it being normalized in my world. And I can't even say like, I think until TikTok, social media didn't really help because even Instagram or Facebook, you think about it, it's like, you're just in an echo chamber of your own friends.
That's true.
And so if you don't have any gay friends, it's like, I'm not seeing
you're
anything
not just
new.
Like looking up like random gay people.
No, I wasn't.
on Instagram. It takes you to one person's site.
I wasn't even looking up gay people in general because I didn't associate myself with like looking like or being gay. So I didn't even know to look up like, am I a lesbian or lesbians that have long blonde hair? I don't know. So it's just interesting to think that like, even with the advancement or, in that time span, I still have a lot of the same feelings.
That's interesting. Yeah. Cause I just assumed anyone much younger than me was just like, I'm gay at like, 15. Although my wife, she came out at 15. So, and we're the exact same age. So it's wild to me that we grew up in what I described to you, even though she was in Michigan, like closer to Detroit. So she had a little more access. We were going through the same things and had the same limited access, and she just was like, I'm gay.
Yeah. Some people it's just in there.
New. And she's very feminine, if you're going to base it on like looks at the time, no one even believed back then. They're like, you're not gay. Like, look at you. And, which is, but that's how, like I said, how people sort of distinguish if you're gay or not was based on, do you look gay? It was very, everything was in stereotypes. But yeah, it's funny that we had such opposite journeys. And so for me, it took, so college was all still not gay, rubbing lotion on friends, getting pissed if they got boyfriends.
That's some rough college years.
Rough. But I had a blast because I was like surrounded by women. Like it was amazing. And what I loved about it is, they would hang out with guys on the weekend and stuff, but during the week in the dorm, it was me and all my friends. No guys,
ladies.
No guys in the classrooms. I don't have to compete with anyone. I got to be, just with ladies.
You're the only one that hated the weekends.
Yeah, I'm like, don't we all want to stay together? Let's not leave our dorm. And there were like, my school is pretty strict. There were all these rules. You couldn't have guys spend the night. They had to be gone by a certain time. I was like, this is perfect.
Your intuition led you to that school.
Yeah. So I just was like, I was president of my student body and just made all A's. I just was as a nerd. I was very achievement was my thing. And then I moved to, long story short, randomly moved to Spain for a year to have a life experience. I was broke. My family did not suddenly come back into money. I graduated with $50 in my bank account, worked all summer, earned like $8,000. I had like 8 jobs from sun up to sundown and went to Spain. And then I remember in Spain, as far as being gay, I still did not know, but I do remember having kind of a little awakening with this girl that was I was taking classes to learn Spanish. And I remember just being like, she's so pretty. Cause she's like from Finland or something. And I had never met anyone and she just was so like cool. And it just really made me go like, what is this feeling?
Interesting.
But again, I like shoved it deep down, and it took moving to LA, and I still was not out, I think, for my first 2 years in LA, which seems wild to me. But it, as it does, that stuff starts kind of bubbling where you go, wait, am I? No, I can't be. Wait. Maybe, I don't know. And then I would think, I just haven't met the right guy. And then still no guys are interested. And then a couple things happened. The L word was a big catalyst, which for someone my age, that probably did awaken some feelings for people. And it goes back to the representation. It came out on Showtime, and it was such a huge deal. And you're seeing these like gorgeous women all of a sudden like making out. It felt like so scandalous, but like every person that I know now was like obsessed with the show, but wouldn't want to tell anybody. So I like watched it in secret, like in my room, and my head was like exploding where I was like, what is this? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I joked that part of the draw was not even just the like making out, which she didn't like that. It was seeing gay women just like having a coffee together, having friendships, being normal. And I was like, oh wait, this is not some scary thing that people made it out to be. Like, these people are having a great time.
Yeah.
And so that kind of made it start bubbling up. And then I remember it was Pride weekend in LA. I had never been to a Pride, very scared of Pride. And I saw it on the local Access channel. And I was like, I'm going to go see what this is about. And I drove down there, and I got out of my car, and I started walking, and I started seeing all these like naked, half naked guys and asses hanging out. And I'll turn right back around and got in my car. Too much. But and then I joke in my Netflix, that same Sweet and Salty Netflix special, that I watched a Lifetime movie, and that's what
I have to know what movie was this.
This is called The Truth About Jane, which the director of that movie ended up reaching out to me at some point going, I can't believe that our movie did that. But it was so wild that this was the catalyst. But and I joke that it made me gay. Obviously it made me gay. But yeah, this girl in high school was just like going through that journey of like not knowing what was different about her, realizing she was gay. She had a teacher that was gay and like just supportive. Nothing was salacious about it. It's just a journey of a girl coming out, and her mom was really against it. But then at the end, her mom's like, I love you and you're gay and I'm going to support you. And it was the first time I said out loud, I was like, oh my God, I'm gay.
Wow. And you're just like alone. And I
remember it so vividly. Yeah.
Wow.
And I have the worst memory. I was just like, God, I can't believe that made me say it out loud for the first time. And then at that point, there was no denying it anymore. I finally, just saying it out loud was powerful for myself. So I just kind of allowed myself to see what that meant for me. I had no gay friends. I did not know a single gay person.
Still living in LA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of my best friend that I was living with, he was straight. So I hung out with all his friends. Everyone was straight. And we had a ball. Like, I had so much fun. But now I was like realizing like, oh, I gotta meet some gay people. Like someone's gotta teach me how to be gay. It was like, now what? So I started, this again sounds like 50 years ago. I went on Craigslist. It was very popular at the time. And everyone in LA used to do all these activities that they would post on Craigslist. It was like, and I made great friends doing these Craigslist activities. But now I started searching like softball teams, African drumming classes, like any kind of like soccer, any kind of thing, or like, where are the gay people? And I started making a bunch of gay friends, and it really just like opened my world.
Okay, you know what's really crazy is when I was closeted living in Texas, and we can cut this because I've told this a million times, but I feel like I have to tell you this.
Yeah.
I was going on Craigslist, women seeking women, finding girls to experiment with.
Interesting.
And that was the first time I watched The L Word. Nice. I met up with a girl, and we were like, she was like 17, I was probably like 15, and we were at her house, and she like showed me The L Word, and we like made out.
There
and
you
that
go.
was like, but that was like my little closeted self. And even then I was like, I'm not a lesbian, like so crazy. But I know all about Craigslist.
That's right. And there were no pictures. So you just had to like
hope that it wasn't a man.
You had to hope they were like a cool person that, but yeah, I tried to do those like dating apps at first. They were all so hard. I was so awkward. I was, 25, 26 at this point, trying to date for the first time, making the mistakes that people made, when they were 16.
Of course.
Being super awkward and I did not know how to talk to women for so long. Oh. I was I spilled this girl's tea everywhere. And I just was like I didn't have confidence, because you have to grow that through experiences. And I was just like I was sweet, but I can imagine no one really being interested at that point because I just was kind of dorky about it. And so I did not have a much of a full dating life until I hit 30. And then once I hit 30, I started kind of coming into my own. I had time to like really be a goofball and not know what I was doing. And then finally dated a proper lesbian because I was still in that in between of liking girls that were straight because that's comfortable.
Yeah.
That's what I knew. I had spent my whole high school and college kind of being infatuated with the unattainable girls. That was a comfortable dynamic for me. And I continued that through a couple more girls of like, they knew I was gay, but again, here comes the lotion. I'm rubbing lotion on people's arms. And But then you're like, wait, I am a full adult now and I am out. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I finally dated my first proper out lesbian,
which is such a learning curve too. Like dynamics are so different now. They're not as gendered. It's like it's just a whole different ball game.
Yes, and it was you date a lot of the not right people, but that's part of dating. Is you're just supposed to have fun and learn new things. And but that was a learning experience, just like being with someone who's out and gay. Like it was cool. I was like, oh, I enjoy this. I'm not having to like have that unrequited thing. I get to just like be in a dating situation, and that's cool and fun and normal, and then that runs its course, and you know. So yeah, from like 30 to 35, I really got to have that proper dating, having fun, a little heartbreak here and there, but nothing was ever super serious. And then I met my now wife, and we've been together almost 10 years now.
It sounds like you also, though, like in the 25 to 30, maybe we're still going through some of the like reeling about being gay.
Probably.
Was it cultural? Was it your family? Was it, what do you think was the biggest kind of like battle?
Well, so once I came out, I took like 6 months of just trying to accept it myself before I told my family. I was very lucky. I'm from a very conservative area, but my family's pretty liberal, and everybody was super cool. I know there's so many people that come out and I have that fear of being disowned, and that is a reality, unfortunately, for a lot of people still, and which sucks. It's better, but I had that fear of like, what if this ruins our relationship? Because you know, she was kind of finding herself still at that time, and was big into church at the time, and there's that sticky situation with church and being gay, and can the two things exist? And her thing was just not wanting my life to be harder. She's like, I know people are going to be not good to you now just for that fact alone, and I don't want things to be hard for you. And I go, I understand, but it's much harder to not be who you are, to like live a lie, or to push down who you really are. And I would rather have this life than that. And I think it did change my whole life, because I found the missing puzzle piece. The thing that always was missing. Why do guys not like me? Why am I being rejected? I don't feel good about myself, and I don't know why. Yeah. And it was like, oh my God, it's because I'm gay. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not unlovable or whatever you feel. It makes a huge difference. And then all of a sudden, like, the weight of the world felt like it just lifted off my shoulders. And it started me in this new era of just, not that you don't have hard things in life that happen that you have to deal with, but I just felt like a freedom and a lightness in a way that I'd never felt. And it kind of took my personality into this whole like kind of chill vibe direction, where I was like, I know who I am now. I'm not worried about that. Yeah. I figured this big ass thing out. I'm good. Yeah. And that really changed me for the better. So yeah, I was, I didn't really have any shame in it, which I'm really happy for. I know some people come out and still have that like internal shame or internal homophobia. I was so pumped. I was like, I love being gay. So fun. Yeah. These parades. We have parades. That's so fun. I mean, look at these rainbows. Those are great colors together. This is great. I like, and then I got to the point where I was like, if this were a choice, which, you know, that people argue, I know it's not. If it were a choice, I would choose it. Yes. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm good. This is great. It is who I am. It's not a choice. I firmly believe how I was born, and I'm just pumped, and that's my journey.
I love that. I always say, like, I hope in the next life I'm a lesbian again, because I love it. It's my favorite life.
I love it. I mean, I didn't have a ton of years of experiencing ironically, you get into like the most comfortable I've ever been with myself and my sexuality is in marriage. But I wouldn't change it. I love my wife so much, and so glad to have a partner like her. And but it is ironic that the most comfortable version of yourself is when you're married. I mean, wouldn't you love to have that at a much earlier? I would have loved that when I was 21, you know, like,
that's just fucking life.
Yeah. But that's all right. But that is part of the fact that I was so awkward and didn't have it. It did make me work on my personality. Oh, God.
I love it. Thank you for being so willing to share.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just curious. Do you have any good piece of coming out advice for anybody who might still be struggling? Not to put you on the spot.
I mean, it's such a personal journey that you have to really do it because it feels right for you and it's on your own time. There's no pressure. You can, as we've seen with my wife, figure it out at 15. You figure it out with me at 25, 28. Some people figure it out much later in life. It's all about what your path is as far as that acceptance. But I would say if anyone is nervous about coming out, there is such a freedom in it and such a gift to yourself to just be who you are. It is the greatest thing you can do for yourself, because any fears that you have of like not being accepted or, those are real and scary, but the reward outweighs that tenfold, in my opinion, because there's no greater feeling than just being who you are. And it will open so many other doors for you. If any doors close because you're gay, 10 more are going to open because you know who you are and you're happy and you feel good about yourself. So I just encourage people in your own time, if something you feel like is your journey, I am all about people being who they are.
Yeah. Couldn't have said
and
it better
good luck
myself. Yes,
on that journey. But I really do think it is worth it.
Yeah. All right. One more question I ask everybody.
Yeah.
What are you working on in therapy?
Oh man. So I just restarted. I went to therapy over 10 years ago to work on, everybody works on your childhood stuff. What are your wounds, your trauma that you're trying to get past? I was working on just picking the wrong people.
Yeah.
That in coming out, part of it is that you don't know what you want, what's good for you. Why am I picking these unavailable people? Why am I, you want to look at those patterns. And that was really helpful. And I did that for 3 years and then eventually met Jex. And when I met her, I was so much more prepared to meet someone like her, you know, and know that that's the kind of person I wanted to be with and not be wasting my time with people who aren't going to be good for me. So that if I had stayed with some of those people, I wouldn't have met her. It allowed me to sort of shut some doors to, again, open these other ones. Now it's just, I started it recently just to there's so much going on. It's more of just checking in to make sure I work so much. I'm always doing that. I'm so focused on that I want to have balance in my life.
Yeah.
So it was more of just I want to make sure I'm good and not, getting so bogged down with work and stress that I'm not focusing on the important things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just need a little revisit every now and then. Nothing super serious, but just let's make sure mental health is a priority. And I don't foresee it being something I'm going to stay in for a while, but I just wanted a little check in.
Hey, am I good?
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you again.
Just balance, I guess, is what I'm working on.
Love it. Okay, we play a game.
Yes.
It's called You Haul or You Ghost.
Okay.
So let's pretend your wife is not in the picture.
Okay.
You're dating, you find this person, they're so perfect, except for maybe this one weird little quirk.
Okay.
Could be good.
All right.
Could be terrible. Okay, you go back to their place and they have frame photos of themselves everywhere.
That feels very LA, that could happen at any moment with anyone. I think I would laugh because I'm of course, we're in LA. But I don't want that. I don't want a person that loves themselves. I want a person that loves themselves. I want to love myself. It's healthy for all of us. But let's not go crazy. I think I would, you ghost.
Yeah, not too much.
It's too much. Yeah.
What about they are so obsessed with home security that they have a system that includes like lasers, motion sensors. Like, what's that movie where there's like Spy Kids or something?
Panic Room or something?
Yeah.
What's that, Jodie Foster? Right? Panic? Was it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the film.
Our lesbian icon. In these times, I understand there's so much craziness going on. That'd probably U-Haul.
I like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, turn the lasers on.
Yeah. I don't love the I don't like the voice. There's a lot of like voice recordings now with the cameras and stuff. I don't want to have my whole life like just being recorded and going into the ethers. I don't love that. But cameras, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to see me get out of my hot tub, that's on you, bud. Have fun with that visual.
So U-Haul.
Yeah, why not? U-Haul.
Okay. All right. What about they insist on always coordinating outfits when you go out, like dinner, events, parties.
Cute.
You like
Come
that?
on. U-Haul, baby.
It's cute, but it's exhausting. It's like, I have this cute outfit. If you don't have something to match it.
I mean, if they're helpful and they're like, I think just do this outfit. I'm like, all right, what else?
Okay, yeah, you like that.
But it is kind of there. I have seen some couples who have showed up a lot of places in like complete matching outfits. And you're like, what are we doing here? Jack and I sometimes will be like in the same like color combination.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Matching is next level crazy.
I know. Actually, now that I think about the people that I've seen in matching outfits, I think it's crazy. So maybe you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This next one's kind of bizarre.
Okay.
What if their last partner that they refer to, their last ex, is an AI robot?
Oh, you ghost. That's weird. No. I need someone that's reality we're here with us in reality, both feet on the ground. You know
Can
what I
you
mean?
imagine though, like next generation, like my kids might be dating AI robots, and that might be reality.
I'm always very glad I'm the age I am.
Same.
You know, as you get older, sometimes you're like, I can't believe I'm getting older. And then I see all the things happen with the young folks today, which makes me sound 100. And I'm just like, thank God I don't have to deal with what they're dealing with.
I agree. Matilda's grandpa is like 92 years old. And I feel like he's probably just like the aliens, the AI. He's like, I am so glad that I'm out of here. The fuck out of here.
When I'm older, hopefully I get to live a long life. I imagine I'll be like, let's go.
I think if you can say that, you've lived a great life.
Yeah.
Like that is the sign.
For sure. Anybody that's lived past like 80 something, like that's a good run.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like how many fucking more birthdays can we do?
90. Like you really... But like once we're reaching like 98, it's do we want this?
Done, pulled
I don't
fuck.
think so.
Thank you for being here. Can you tell everybody where to find you, where to watch your special?
I have a new special that came out like a month ago called Crushing It. It's on Netflix. I'm in a pink suit. But I have 3 specials on Netflix. You can watch Sweet and Salty, Good Fortune, or Crushing It. I recommend watching them in order because they are biographical and all true. And I'm going to be starting a whole new tour. Some dates have been announced and a lot more are coming, but that's on my website. You can follow me online and come see a show. I do tons of stand-up all over the country, so
we'll be there.
It'll be a whole new hour from Crushing It.
Love it.
Yes.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. As always, help us spread the gay agenda by writing an Apple review, rating us on Spotify, and sharing with everyone you've ever met. And if you haven't yet, join our subscription community, Made It In, for exclusive Made It Out media shows, content, and chat rooms at madeitout.supercast.com. Made It Out is produced by Matilda Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.
Want to move in now? But it's only been a week. So what? We U-Haul.